How to keep a conversation going. That's what we're going to talk about today. This is part two in our How to Talk series, where I take you through the few stages of really learning how to have a conversation with someone, especially when you don't know them. A big part of making friends, starting a social network is talking to people that you don't know, and not everyone is super comfortable with that. And so, the purpose of this series is to give you some ways of thinking about conversation, some frameworks, some tools that can help you really break out of your shell and get to know some people. So, before we get into anything, I want to start with why you might struggle with conversation with someone that's new. And the main thing really is because we overthink. When we start a conversation with someone, there's so much chatter in our heads of what do I need to say next? How can I be interesting? How can I be funny? Oh, do they like me? Oh, is this happening or that happening? What do I need to say three steps from now? Stop all of that. That is the number one thing that is killing your ability to have a good conversation. You're so in your head, you're not in the present moment, and you don't actually hear what the other person is saying. And listening and responding is the key part of having a conversation. It's so cliche, but really that is just the meat and potatoes of it. Listening closely and responding to what they say in the moment. When you're in this mode of overthinking and thinking, what do I need to say next? Is the thing that I just said too personal, or was it weird, or was it like not funny, or beating yourself up because you're not interesting, whatever it might be? You put yourself in this crazy mode of editing, and it just consumes so much of your mind that you can't actually be there with this other person. In that mode, you're sort of playing. Um, in that mode of conversation, it's like you're playing chess when conversations and social engagements are really a game of catch. You say something, then you throw the ball, they catch the ball, they respond to the ball, and then they throw the ball back at you. So I want you to get rid of this whole idea that you can anticipate where a conversation is going, or that you can control where a conversation ends up or how it's received by the other person. Let that go entirely. Let go of this idea that there's a perfect thing that you can say to get this person to like you and think that you're interesting, or let go of this belief that unless you say something that's super cool and interesting and exactly right and perfect, this person won't like you. People are very open. You're very open. That's why you're listening to this and you're trying to make friends. You're trying to open yourself up. You don't need to have the exact right thing in order for a conversation to have a great outcome for you. So that's the first thing. Let go of this idea that you need to be perfect and say the exact right thing, and there's only one exact right thing to say. Let go of this idea of hyper analyzing where a conversation is going and and how the other person is responding to it. That's the first thing. Um, then I'll go into, we talked about this in the last video, and if you missed it, I would encourage you to go back and take a look in the first part of our How to Talk series. It's all around how to start a conversation. And before we can get into how we can maintain a conversation, I'll do a little bit of a refresher and a couple of pieces around how you can set yourself and the conversation up for success. Now, um, a lot of conversations, because we're nervous and we pull for the generic sort of uh, questions, we can start off a conversation with what I call a dead end question. It's questions like, "Oh, do you like this? Do you like living here?" And the person responds, "Yes." That's literally one word. What are you going to do with a word? Also, like, what did that question really give you? It's like, okay, you know that this person likes where they live, but really like nothing else. How you can set up a conversation for success. I gave you a ton of different ways to start conversations in the last video, so you can check that out. But really simply, for the cases of this video, some of the easiest ways to start conversation are questions around how and why. Questions that start with these two words encourages storytelling. And when a person is in a story, one, they're more engaged, they give you more information that you can learn about them and can sort of riff off of in the course of the conversation. And, it puts a little bit less pressure on you to feel like you have to come up with the next thing to say. Because once someone's telling a story, they can go on for kind of a while, and then now you're engrossed in their stories, and it's so interesting. So these are things like, "Oh, why did you come here tonight?" Or, "How did you, end up in this industry?" Or, "Why do you like living where you live?" To go back to that to our last question. So these are the sort of questions that can sort of help you really set up a conversation for success so that it's a lot easier to keep it going. And now, the heart of how to keep a conversation going is what I call the bridge method. So, uh, when you ask a dead question, like I mentioned earlier, the sort of question where there's a one word answer, there's really, like, no information for you to follow up with or to get more curious about. The whole purpose of a conversation really is to, um, feed your curiosity. It's to understand, something new, and usually that something new is this other person, their life experience, their mind, their hearts, all these things. And so, the easiest way to keep a conversation going is to volley a good question that starts with a how or a why or an observation that can lead to more explanation that allows the other person to do a little bit of storytelling. And once that person is doing a little bit of storytelling, they've given you a little bit of information. And how you use that information to continue the conversation is what I call the bridge method. This is something that I talk about in my network social system. More information down below. But this person has given you a little bit of information in response to the story, and then you're like an investigator looking for hooks in the story and the information that they've given you for you to follow your own natural curiosity. Don't talk about things that you're uninterested in. Actually look for things within the conversation that pique your own interest. So like the excitement that you feel is genuine and real. So for example, if you ask, "Oh, why do you like, living in this city? I'm new to this town. What's so great about it?" And the person says, "Oh, well, the nature here is really amazing. I come from a major city that's like a concrete jungle. I've never lived in an area that is so green and lush." And so, in that little bit of storytelling that person gave, you actually have several hooks. Okay, so you have hooks that, oh, this person likes nature and greenery. Oh, this person does not come from a place of nature and greenery. So now you have like two hooks. So one, nature and the outdoors, and then two, hometowns, where we're from, where we grow up. And so then you can ask, then depending on your own personal feelings and what you're personally interested in, you can ask to like learn more about some of these different hooks that they've already given you. So you can say, "Oh, I love the idea of the outdoors, but I've never actually like explored it myself. Like my family wasn't really one that did a lot of hiking. Are there any good hikes around? Um, where would you recommend a newbie to start?" And that's how you can continue the conversation on, and then they respond, and then you can go back and forth and back and forth. In that back and forth, you're constantly have ears on, active listening. Active listening is critical to having good, genuine conversations because, again, we're not playing chess. We're not thinking five questions ahead of what we want to ask this person. We're actually really listening and being in the moment and looking for these hooks in the conversation of things that are interesting to you personally. Then you can respond for with more curiosity and more understanding and more interest and more sharing based on your genuine interest in what this person gives you. So, as you're looking for these hooks, as the conversation is flowing and going, there are a lot of different ways that you can respond to hooks that are interesting to you. So, one is follow up questions. So, in that case, it's, someone talked about how much they love nature. You can ask, "Oh, Where does this love of nature come from? Why did like why do you think that you're into the outdoors? Things like that. You can give your own opinion on that hook. So if the person says, "Oh, I moved here because there's a tons of nature and a lot of greenery and it's super lush," you can share your own opinion and say, "Oh, I also love nature. It's been like super calming for me. I'm someone who's like very high stress and high anxiety, but nature's always been the sort of place that calms me down." Now you're just sharing your own experience, your own opinion. You're not asking a question. You're just taking that hook, seeing like what resonates in like your own life around this topic, and just sort of sharing it. Um, what you can do, you can also sort of repeat back what the person has said to you in a way that it's been like filtered through your own mind. So I'll give you an example. It's something like, um, you could say something like, "It seems like." So this person has shared, oh, they love nature, they love greenery, they love lushness and the outdoors and all these things. And you can say, "Oh, wow, it seems like you're a really calm, slow-paced person to love nature so much." Was that how you describe yourself? So, and then that can be something interesting that they can respond to as well, of like, "Oh, actually, I think I'm a pretty high energy person. Nature brings me down." Or, "Yeah, I'm actually super calm. I'm definitely the calm person in my friend group." So you can say, "It seems like," based, and then you can sort of give your intuition or analysis of the situation based on the hook that they gave you. Another piece can just be a simple "me too" of, "Oh, wow, like, I also love nature." It's like, "Oh, I went on this great hike, by Land's End, 3 weeks ago, and it was so much fun. Um, uh, I went with a group of friends, and it was great. Have you ever been?" So you can sort of, like, build some rapport there. um, you can ask them to teach you about this thing that you've listened into, and this hook that you've taken on. So they say, "Oh, I love nature. I love the outdoors. I love greenery and lushness." You can say, "Oh, I don't have a ton of experience with nature and the outdoors. I didn't come from an outdoorsy family. I don't think I've ever been on a hike. How would you suggest a newbie to start?" And then they'll go into a whole lesson of teaching you how about this thing that they're interested in because they brought it up. And then the last one, and only you do this if this is genuine, is sort of a compliment and a compliment and a question, or a compliment and a comment. You can say, "Oh, wow, that's like so impressive." I mean, you can say something like, "Oh, that's so impressive. So many people in the city are so consumed with work, they never find time for the outdoors. That's super commendable that you make that time to do that." Um, and then you can follow up with saying, "Oh, how do you organize your time to make that a reality in your life?" Something like that. So these are a couple of ways that, once you've set up a good question that allows a little bit of storytelling, you're actively listening, you're not thinking in your head, you're not planning your next question, you're not planning your next move or whatever. You're here in the moment, you're actively listening to this person's story because you want to learn about them, you're curious about them and their life. You're listening for these hooks in the conversation that they share. You're taking one or two of the hooks that you're actually interested in, and then you're responding to that hook, either with commentary, either with your opinion, or a follow up question, or an ask to teach, for this person to teach you about this hook that you've taken on. Um, you're providing an observation about them or their background based on this hook that they gave you, all these different ways. And so, uh, these are a lot of just like great ways that you can set yourself up to have a good conversation and then maintain a conversation as it goes on. And so then we'll close out with, how do you exit a conversation in a way that's graceful, non awkward? And if you like this person and you want to become friends with them and you want to stay in touch, it's really simple to do. So when you feel like you're kind of getting a little tired and you want to either move on and try to join other conversations, or you want to just move on and go home, um, while they're talking, let them wrap up, finish a point, and maybe they'll end their point asking you a question or asking your opinion on something. Answer that question or opinion, whatever it is that they ask you, really quickly, like very short, politely, but like pretty short. And then you say, "It was so great. It was so great to meet you. I had so much fun. This was such a great conversation. I think I want to try and meet some other people here. I'm new to the community, but I really enjoyed getting to know you. Would love to stay in touch if you're at all interested." And if you want to stay in touch, then you exchange phone numbers. You can arrange a hangout later down the line. In my video on Thursday, I'm going to talk about how you take a stranger to a full friendship in 3 weeks. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, but it starts here. You have a great conversation with someone and you ask, "Hey, it was really great to meet you. Would love to keep in touch." If you don't necessarily want to keep in touch, you can say the exact same thing and just leave off the end. Just say, "It was great to meet you. Had so much fun. This is such a great conversation. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night." They're like, "Great. Oh, great to meet you as well." Blah, blah, blah. You go your separate ways. Um, and it really is that simple as long as you keep a smile and like a positive disposition. It's as simple as that. If you feel a little bit awkward, you can make a little bit of an excuse. You can say, "It was so great to meet you. I've had so much fun. I think I'm getting a little bit tired. I want to sit down for a second, or I think I'm going to head on home. It was great to meet you." And then you can move on. Sometimes you might be with someone who talks a lot and has, gives, like, very, very long stories, and you kind of wanna, like, leave pretty soon. You can say, you can, like, put a hand on their shoulder or something and say, like, "This is so interesting. I, like, so wish I could, like, listen and hear more, but I'm getting a little tired. I need to head home," or, "I'm getting, a little tired, and I did wanna try to meet a couple other people before I have to head out." And then you can say, "Would love to keep in touch," or, "It was so great meeting you. I hope you have a great rest of your night." And that's all it takes. So that's it. So I hope that was helpful. If you are building a social network from scratch, either you've moved to a new city, or maybe you've always sort of had trouble making friends, my network social system is a 30-day challenge that takes you from zero to a full-fledged friend group with invites coming in, friends and acquaintances to hang out with, and helps you build a full-fledged social life in literally 30 days. I planned it to be as non-awkward as possible, and this is the exact method that I used when I moved to a new city 6.5 years ago, knowing literally one person. So more information down below. We launch April 15th, and in the lead up for that launch, I'm super excited about it. I have a 33% off discount code called Fast Friends. Link is down below in the description. And I live stream every day except Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then Monday and Thursdays live streams at 6 p.m. Pacific Time. I would really love to take Q&A from people. So if you have specific questions around how to make friends, how to meet people, how to find people, how to maintain friendships and relationships and things like that, come at 6 p.m. Mondays and Thursdays with those questions and ask me those questions live. I'm here to help.